Hi, guys. Hey, welcome back. All right, let's get into a collective message, shall we? We are starting out with the Knight of Swords and the Four of Wands. Okay, there is a either thought process or an actual action being taken that is very swift. This could be somebody having a momentary, like, I'm in love, I've met the person I want to marry. We have possibly a divine masculine who is having this kind of like sudden awareness, like that's my person, that's the one I'm going to marry, that's the one meant for me. King of Cups is definitely, we have a divine masculine whose heart is cracked wide open. Now I say that, but bear in mind I actually don't read for genders. What it is I'll go with what we see on the cards so that we can start to give the characters like some kind of identifying names, right? But just know feminines have masculine energy in them as well. Here, this we see a same-sex couple. This could be a same-sex couple. Reverse gender roles does not matter. But for right now, we're going to say that we have got a King of Cups energy, and that's how we're going to refer to our lead character. He has spotted the person who just made his heart feel open, who just made his heart feel like I'm in love. King of Pentacles. He's feeling all kinds of kingly ways. Like, I want to have a long-term foundation. I want to go to the ocean with this person. I want to have them in my life as my partner. I want to do, romantic things with them. I want to have fun with them. If I'm out surfing, I want to know they're on the beach watching for me. I want to go sailing with them. I want to do things with this person. It's like he can foresee in an instant. He can foresee the future he could have with her. And yet we have the Hermit along with the Moon. So this feminine either has no idea that she's being looked at as somebody's long-term desire. This feminine has no idea. In fact, she's feeling pretty isolated over here. She's feeling like she's off by herself on her own. Kind of, I don't know if this is metaphorical or not, but it's like her world is a little bit gray right now. We have a feminine who may not be having a very nice time at the moment. She may be feeling fairly lonely, fairly unseen. And all I can say is that couldn't be further than the truth. If she's reading, I picture this feminine is reading like a romance book or something about like some really great emperor, and I just feel like she's focusing on somebody out there that she hasn't met, kind of half-wise doesn't believe exists except in the pages of books. She definitely is thinking she's been by herself for a while. Let me ask, why do you have the Moon? I mean, the Moon is what's hidden, right? So she does not know. We have the Tower and we have the Ace of Swords. She does not know that this, whomever he is, and we'll go back to him in just a second, whomever this king is head over heels in love with her. And something in his life has just gone through a dramatic change. He has had this moment of clarity. This flower has bloomed in his mind, or maybe in his heart, we could say, because he has suddenly recognized she is the one for me. And this feminine has no clue at all. Can I just ask, actually, no, let's go over to him and say, what is it that's making you have this sudden, because all of this says it was very sudden for him, with the Tower being there, with that Knight of Swords. It's our fastest moving, sudden, impulsive, like he just knows it. Did you know who she was before, or is she, are you meeting her for the first time and it's like, I've fallen in love with somebody that I just met? We have a 10 of Swords sideways. No, he knew her. 2 of Pentacles, 3 of Pentacles, Page of Wands. Oh my gosh. Okay. So unfortunately, this is somebody who already dealt with her and perhaps either didn't choose her or didn't know what he was going to do. I don't love seeing that 2 of Pentacles. And even here we see 2 different feminines. That 3 of Pentacles is here, and we have Cupid, and we have that King's card, the King of Hearts here. Now we have this, Page of Wands, and it says imagine, and we have like a spark. I don't know if he ruined this connection or something with that 10 of Swords sideways, basically letting something end, but at the same time saying, I don't really know that I want it to be over. Were you out dating other people and now you suddenly realize, wait a minute, I don't like other people, I like her? Let me just ask bluntly. 3 of Swords, he did something to betray her. So what is it that suddenly makes you go, oh my God, she's my person? Temperance. So look, this is not to give any kind of, pass or, explanation or anything, but remember how we saw him as a page of wands. I hate to say it, but I don't really think once upon a time he liked anybody all that much. I think he had mild interest, and nowhere was he sure about putting his energy. I feel like maybe that's because he was either in a chaotic place or he wasn't mature enough. If it was just like, oh yeah, there's attractive people all over, I don't really know who I'm going to want to date. Maybe I did go out on a date with her, but I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not that drawn to anybody. Maybe he wasn't drawn to the idea of relationship yet. He wasn't drawn, not drawn to the idea of, with the temperance card, of actually being in a balanced connection, because maybe he was not balanced. Because when I say what changed, what happened, and we can see this is all kind of like, oh my God, I want a long-term marriage. I want to, have a relationship. I want to be with somebody. I want, it's like he was suddenly picturing all the beautiful things that could happen if you're with the right person, and what the right relationship could look like and feel like. He's only just now balanced enough in himself to think about having that. So the Tower is, yeah, that's right. He did have a sudden change in his life, but the change is he's finally a more balanced person. So now I think he has a little bit more than mild interest in it's just, I'm so sorry to say it, but I don't think anybody mattered that much to his heart. I don't know how else to explain it other than he maybe wasn't balanced enough to look at relationships or look at love, or even put a lot of value in the idea of partnership once upon a time. So I don't think this was like he was out there trying to cheat on her, juggle her, make her fall for him, but then keep her on a string while he explored other options. That's not what the situation is. I really think he barely had interest in anybody. He didn't have real interest in partnership for sure until now. Big change in his life. What is creating this massive change in his life? Knight of Cups. All of a sudden he wants to move toward emotion. The knights are the action takers. He's ready to actually follow his emotions. I don't know why, but Wheel of Fortune. I kind of picture this person as like a late bloomer, because they're a little kid here, and then we have this image of a very old and wizened individual. And this Wheel of Fortune, we have this gigantic eyeball in the middle, and we have this clock, when really this is kind of like, it should be like either a compass or a pocket watch. And we do have, the timing, but we also have youth to older and wiser. And the eye of the universe has been watching all along. And again, he's standing on top of a pocket watch, and then there's a much bigger pocket watch. I can't help but say this was a maturity thing for him. I don't even know if he ever dated anybody in a way that you could say that they really dated. I don't know that he was, look, I'm being polite about it, but he was not a catch. Okay, this is not somebody who was mature enough to think about maybe anybody other than himself, his own needs, his own explorations in this world. And that didn't even, I'm not saying exploring a ton of other romantic partners. That seemed to have been the least important thing on his mind. This is when, think of it like when we're kids and we could care less about dating. We're kids. We have none of that in our mind. We care about riding our bikes. We care about playing soccer. We care about being outside. That's where kids are supposed to be, They're not supposed to be thinking about attraction and all that stuff. They're kids. So then when we become full-grown adults, now we start to think about relationships, and we think about love, and all of a sudden just riding our bicycle might be not as important as, even if we still love it, we may now feel like, no, but I love my partner first and foremost. That matters way more to me than, getting a new bicycle and going over little jumps. We still might love it, but our priorities shift. This person, I want to say, was a late bloomer from childhood into actual adulthood. I don't think that I don't even know if they were that interested in anybody. Even as a full-grown adult, I still feel like they remained very immature is what this is saying, until finally now. So just a completely different, like, just because somebody is 40 years old, it doesn't mean that they're actually in their mind 40 years old. Sometimes they're still, caring about like kind of immature stuff and not ready for mature relationships yet. It's not really, I don't know, in this storyline, it just says that he's reached this new place in his life where emotions are suddenly like, wow, wait a minute. Partnership, emotion. I still, other than it's about divine timing, I still don't understand exactly why. Six of Cups, again, he's sitting on a clock. That Six of Cups is soulmate energy. It almost just feels like this person, woke up to maybe what age they actually are, and, what, even if they've been, like I say, like an adult and they're in their 40s or 50s or 60s or something, they're just now starting to see themselves as a full grown up. And more importantly, they're just now starting to see a partnership as like really important in their life. And it does have to do with a soulmate energy. So they did encounter her before. Things did not go well. I don't even think it touched their heart, because we have that 10 of Swords here where there was a lot of pain, but it's almost like it didn't really bother them. But there was a painful ending, but it's like their emotions were pulled right out of this black hole. And it's just like, I don't know, maybe I'll feel that later, but I just don't feel anything right now. This is, admittedly, this is a very curious character that I'm trying very hard to explain in the nicest way possible. But in truth, this really feels like somebody who did not have the capacity maybe to like love others. Can I just ask, what was it that was so busy in your life or taking all of your time that relationships had like kind of no bearing? Page of Swords, look, this is somebody who was busy still learning, right? Trying to graduate in life. And maybe he was trying to get to the point of like finding some happiness in his own life, finding how to pursue his own wish fulfillment. So let me give a scenario here. Let's say this is a character who, I was saying like a late bloomer, right? And let's say this is somebody who's learning life lessons later on because perhaps they were smothered, oppressed. Um, this could be somebody who had, let's say parental figures that, you know, like made this person imagine that they were still a kid because there were helicopter parents, smothering parenting, didn't really let him grow up. But also in not letting him grow up and treating him like he was a little kid, even when he's a full grown adult. And that's the only world he knew. Mom and dad tell me kind of what I'm supposed to do, but they always want the best for me. And they tell me what the best for me is. And I'm always like number one, and they love me, but I have to do what mom and dad say. And even growing up as a full grown adult, it's like, okay, they still tell me what to do. But again, this is my normal world. And I'm wondering if what he had to do was like gain perspective on, first off, what is it that I actually want? Not the wishes of parents and people that want to both keep me young and keep me under their thumb at the same time. I have to learn how to be my own person, but I also have to figure out what do I really want, and no longer like listen to whether or not I'm being, celebrated by parents who want me to do what they want me to do. And I get a good, good boy, good girl from them as long as I do what their wishes for me are. I have to figure out what my wishes are. And I feel like this was this was him just graduating some of these basic layers of life to become his own person. So I don't think that he was ready for relationships. Like I said before, I don't think he was a catch. Not when he hadn't figured out his own identity yet. And I'm not sure if that's exactly what was going on, but that's the way my brain is seeing this. Is like, oh, he had to graduate to just being able to identify what he himself wanted. And so it's a weird blend of like immaturity, even a little twist of kind of like selfish focus, but then also at the same time kind of suppressed and oppressed from ever finding his own identity. That's what he's been working on. I hope that makes sense. I'm sorry, it can be really tough for me to explain everything sometimes. We have a King of Swords, and we can literally see his life. What he knew was very like dogmatic, or it was very organized and structured. And then all of a sudden, it was like, whoa, wait a minute. I got to figure this out. This is not right. I don't need to live my life day in and day out the way like I've been trained. I actually have to find my identity. And all of a sudden, he starts to kind of like figure stuff out. Now he's a king. Now he's found himself. Now he has his own voice. Now he knows who he is, what he wants, what his ideas are. And this is the point in time where he's realizing he's in love with her. So no wonder she doesn't see this coming. Of course not. If anything, he was not interested in her nor anyone. Relationship just wasn't what it was all about. Again, we have the Wheel of Fortune for him. I think because now we have this feminine on the Wheel of Fortune, we see her heart has been, instrumental in making a lot of gears change. I'm guessing that if she loved him once upon a time when she knew him, even though I do not feel he was capable of loving anybody in return at that point, um, somehow her heart set things in motion. Let me just ask, universe, how did she play a role in him having this awakening or really start learning about himself? Seven of Wands, Four of Cups. Whether or not she knows it, yes. You notice how all of a sudden it was like, damn, I don't know if she said something to him, maybe even something that she felt like she regretted, but she may have told him point blank, you are trapped in a cage. You don't have the ability to even decide what you want. She may have pointed out the cage that he was in. And that could have been something where, then it was like, in a cage? What do you mean I'm in a cage? What do you mean other people tell me what I want, who I want to be with? Other people tell me what my parameters are. What do you mean I don't make choices for myself? Because this is him bending the bars and trying to figure this out. I do think that something that she said pointed something out to him that he didn't know. Sometimes we don't realize we're in a cage, right? Our food is given to us, our water is given to us. If we're comfortable, we don't realize that we also have no options because we haven't stepped out the cage to even see all the options that exist, and that we can have different food, different water, different, it feels like she pointed this out. All I can say is that the way she did it, she pointed it out and then she moved on. I still think that she stayed single, but she found a place of peace and kind of stopped imagining him. I think she's been in a bit of fantasy land thinking about other potential mates. Is she going to meet somebody? Can I just see this? Ace of Swords. It's going to be him. It is definitely going to be him. I don't know what she's going to think when he shows back up, but everything is clicking into place. Like the reason he met her, the fact that she told him some truth nobody else would, the fact that she didn't say it to be mean, she just said it and then let it go. She released him to live in his cage if that's where he wanted to stay. But ironically, that's not where he wanted to stay. It started to sink in. It started to make him want to change things. And at this point, there's that key that unlocks the cage. There's him recognizing something, which is, I love her. I actually love her. I didn't meet her for no reason. I don't think he's trading like one cage for another. I feel like he genuinely has had this. She was instrumental in helping him start to awaken. But at this point, he's actually found his identity. Good for him. All right, you guys, I'm going to leave this here. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for giving it a thumbs up.